Three, two, one, and we are live on the Quadcast episode 3 on Quadra Island in the studio with Robin Evans.
Hello.
Hi, thank you for coming in. How are you this evening?
I'm really well. It's been a really good day. I've been taking down Christmas lights on the boat, which is no mean feat, because they're all attached to halyards and go up to the top and a zap strapped and, have to be taken down
You
again.
decorated your boat this year?
I did. I had, they kind of went up into that kind of V, upside down V. So, yeah, it kind of looked really nice. I like that.
Nice.
And then after eating something, I then went off for a walk at the Spit.
Nice.
And so I spent an hour and a half from beginning to end walking along there to the back, and it was good.
Did anybody else decorate their boat, or was it just you? Or
yeah, there were 5 boats this year, I think, with lights all the way up the mast and down again, which is just really nice to see, rather than just
somebody
seeing
had
lights.
to go up.
Yeah, and rather than seeing lights around the bay, we represent the liverboards. And put our lights up. So it was kind of nice. Can't say that Canadian Tire have really good quality lights.
Yeah. Everything gets cheaper nowadays, right?
Yeah, but then I came over this way, and I contacted someone who I haven't met before. I started a keto group. I've started the keto way of eating.
Okay.
And for me, it's to do with health. I can use my hands a lot better. I ache less. I think more clearly. I've got a really good focus now.
Nice.
And there was somebody over here that I wanted to meet, and so I just spent an hour in her place, and she has a lovely view looking out over the Discovery Passage there. With all the boats passing by and the ferry coming in and going out.
Was it difficult transition into a keto diet or what?
It was a lot easier than I thought it would be, because there are so many foods that fill you up that don't have carbs in. And for me, it's about reducing my carbohydrate intake and losing 80 pounds, which is, I'm 30 pounds in, so I'm getting there. I'm focused.
That's awesome.
And I had a lot of support from a friend of mine, Phyllis. Hi, Phyllis.
Nice.
And we decided we wanted to help support other people on the island that might want to eat this way too, struggle with how to cook and what to cook. So, yeah.
So you live on a boat?
I do.
And you cook on your boat, or do you?
I do.
You got a nice little kitchen in there?
Yeah, she's a 36-foot boat, so she's a good size. Okay. And I have a fridge and a freezer and a 3-burner stove, propane.
There you go.
And she's well heated. I'm on the dock at the moment for the winter, but I have a mooring in the bay as well. So I go out in the bay during the summer when I'm not off sailing.
So you're on the dock right now, but in the summertime you'll bring it out onto the.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I sail a lot.
Yeah.
I do sail a lot. Sometimes I take people with me, and sometimes I just go on my own, because it's easy on my own.
You can sail your boat by yourself. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
We were this goes back to childhood, really. I blame the parents.
Because, you sailed with the parents?
Well, yeah, there's a little bit of a story there. They kind of met and fell in love in 1958 and wanted to, in fact, within 3 weeks, my mother had asked my father for his hand in marriage.
Your mom asked your father within 3 weeks?
Well, she used to ride a motorcycle in the 50s. She was not conventional. And he said yes. And during the courtship,
especially back then, that was super unconventional. Wow.
Yeah. And they decided to pick a hobby that neither of them had done before, so they picked sailing. And their courtship and marriage, the first 4 years, were sailing. And she was pregnant with me sailing.
Wow.
7.5 months pregnant with me climbing out of a dinghy, 1962.
Yeah.
And
in England.
In England.
Yeah.
And eventually she said, "John, I can't climb out of the dinghy anymore. We'll have to move ashore." So they moved into a caravan in a pig's field. And I was born in a pig's field.
Wow.
In a caravan.
In England, in a
December.
Caravan in December.
In all that snow. Yeah. So there you go. And then they went on to have 2 more kids, and had always wanted to leave England and go off sailing. And so we were born into sailing. I was shoved in a drawer, and then I was toddling, with netting around the sides of the boat. And
did they sail across or
to the Caribbean? Yes.
to the Caribbean?
Eventually,
Wow.
yeah, because they had 2 more kids, and we left England when we were 5, 4, and 18 months.
Wow.
And
whoa, people are like, you're sailing across the ocean with an 18-month or wow.
Well, first of all, I got to say, we went through the French canals, and we took the mast down for that. So that wasn't exactly sailing. But the preparation for sailing these journeys had all been done really before that in England, going out every weekend. Every summer holiday, going across to the Channel Islands or something. So that they
practicing,
were practicing.
really,
They did evening
making sure
classes.
the boat was good. And,
yeah, and they changed boats, as
Oh,
well.
really?
They went from a 14-foot dinghy to a 21-foot boat to a 32-foot boat.
Yeah.
And that was the one that we crossed on eventually. But we
32,
spent 3 years in the Mediterranean and then crossed.
Whoa.
And headed up to Grenada.
And which one were you and the kids?
Eldest.
You were the oldest.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
the
you
oldest,
have a bit of memories of crossing then as a little girl?
Yeah, we had dolphin fish following us across, because underneath the hull of our boat we had fish that were attracted to the anything that was growing. And so we had little fish underneath there, and the tuna fish would come along. The dolphin fish would come along, and we named them.
And
us 3 kids.
They would eat all the things growing off the boat.
And we'd throw them flying fish.
Throw them things.
Flying fish, because every morning you'd wake up and you don't know how many flying fish there are going to be on your boat.
That's cool, hey?
So it was kind of different.
Yeah.
We were 14 years on a boat, and that's how I learned how to sail.
Did you drop the boat lifestyle, or did you keep the boat lifestyle your whole life?
No, when I was 17, I kind of ran away from home for a bit, and my parents came up here, sold the boat, planned on immigrating to Canada, but got rejected the first time. And they went away and bought another boat in the Med and carried on. And I went back to England. And I had to choose. I had to find a job.
They didn't come all the way over and then had to go all the way back.
No, what they did was we sold the boat in the Caribbean. There's so many stories I tell you. The boat was wrecked in a hurricane. I've been in different experiences, like we all have, dismasting, dragging anchor in the middle of the night in storms, watching boats break up on reefs, and sailing boats getting lost at sea. With a skipper that didn't really know what he was doing. There's so many different things that have happened. During that time, but it's all resulted in me ending up here. There are bits in between.
So how'd you get from the Caribbean back up?
So I went back to England from here and had to find a job. And there were 3 jobs that provided accommodation: nursing, the army, and the police. And so I joined the police. I was a police officer in London.
In London, England?
Yeah.
Oh, wild.
For 31 years.
31 years, wild.
Well, beyond the beat.
Yeah.
All sorts of different things.
So you stopped the boat lifestyle, needed to find work.
In a country where I was legal. That's the other thing, was that I didn't want to stay in Canada and be illegal, working as an illegal immigrant. I didn't want to do that, because that would jeopardize my chances of ever getting in here like I am now, legally. Now I'm a citizen. Canadian. As Canadian as I'll ever be anyway. So I joined the police. Never thought I'd stay. I joined because Dad said it'd be a good job. 18.
18. Wow, your dad said it'd be a good job.
Well, I think we had never lived on land. We'd never lived in a city. I'd never seen snow. I'd never been to a concert. I hadn't been to the cinema at 18. There were lots of things that were very different about us, and maybe he felt that job would give me a variety that would make it easier to settle there. For me, it was just about trying to prove to my dad that I could do something that was really difficult.
Sure.
But after I did 2 years, I then came out to Canada for 6 weeks paid on holiday.
They sent you out?
No.
Oh.
It meant that every year you could either work, every time you work, you can work for overtime, in pay, or in time. And I would always work for the time. For the time
off.
And I would come out. They were still in Canada at that time with my brothers, so I came out after 2 years.
Folks were living here, but you were living in England. Were they living illegally? Or?
No, they were waiting for the case to come through.
Oh, so they were like in transition.
Visitors, yeah, they were still
yeah.
visitors. My brothers finished their education.
Yeah.
My brothers were kayakers and sailors here,
Huh.
and they got very heavily involved in the kayaking.
They kept
network.
boats.
Yeah, they're both here.
Yeah.
And I ended up staying in the job. Wasn't the right job for me as a personality.
Yeah.
I'm much more into people.
Yeah.
And I'm not into really. I was never a good interrogator.
Yeah.
I was more of a. Well, okay, you're in this position. Let's see how we can help get you out of it and sort your life out, or whatever. Going into youth clubs, playing pool with the kids, running school fates, teaching kids how to juggle. That was more my kind of PR kind of approach, if you like. But worked in a lot of different areas. So
you get to wear one of the sweet Bobby hats.
You still have one.
You still have one.
Don't tell anyone.
Oh, that's cool.
I do.
That's cool.
I got most of the stuff.
You got some memorabilia and things.
Yeah,
That's fun.
Yeah. I took a career break after I had my kids. I took a career break for 4 years, and then we were motorcyclists as well. So I had kind of many different facets of interest, if you like. Sailing when I could before I had kids, and then motorcycles from age 18 to 50. So motorcycles, you could be anonymous.
What kind of motorcycles? Like big traveler
I've
ones?
had
10 different bikes?
Yeah.
Wow.
Over the years. And I could be anonymous. What was so neat about riding a bike was that you get to go out on your own, and you're in your own little space in your helmet.
Totally.
And it's like a meditation almost. You focus. Do you ride?
I've owned two motorbikes, 3 motorbikes, and I have a scooter now.
I don't know. Well, my first bike was a Honda 90.
Yeah.
So it was just a step through, we call it in England,
okay.
And it didn't have any gears. It just open and close. And it changed.
Sure.
And then I had a Suzuki GP 100.
Okay, like a little trail bike kind of thing.
Well, no, it wasn't. It was an on-road bike. But I then did a course on how to be a motorcyclist.
How to ride on the road. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a special course you could do, not just as a learner rider, but there was a 12-week course that you could do.
More advanced.
Just to make you more aware of things.
Sure.
There are different levels: bronze, silver, and gold.
Yeah.
And then I got a Honda 750.
Oh yeah.
I went to a 400 actually.
The Honda 400.
I had a 404, but we're talking well before your time.
Yeah.
We're talking the 80s here.
Yeah.
Like in 1983, I had a Honda 404, which had this really sexy 4-into-1 curvy exhaust on it. 4-into-1, which is really nice.
Yeah.
And then a
That's
750.
4 carburetors into 1 exhaust pipe.
4-into-1, 4 exhaust pipes.
Yeah.
That come down from the engine into 1 out the back.
Exactly.
Not 2. Sometimes there's 2, 1 in each side.
Yeah.
And then I bought a bike that I went around Europe on, which was the 750 FA touring bike.
Yeah.
And so.
And that's good. That's a good traveler.
Yeah.
Nice.
So just went through loads of bikes over the years, and the anonymity of riding a bike was really nice because. As a police officer,
you get a wave. They don't know you're male, female. Who's that?
One of the big things for me was that there was and there still is, a stigma attached to being a police officer, right? You know who your true friends are when you join the police service. You really find out, And so being on a motorbike, I didn't have to tell anybody. I didn't have to lie or tell. Not that I would lie, but
Did you do police motorbiking?
No,
I do that.
No, I didn't want to. I didn't want to go for promotion. I didn't want to be a traffic cop because I rode for a hobby.
It almost ruins that.
Yeah. But I loved riding and would ride every weekend.
Yeah.
And it's funny, when my daughter was born, she would pester me, Mom, I want to come out with you on the bike. And I'd be like, when your feet touch the pedals, when you sit on the back of my bike, we'll test you every year. When your feet touch the pedals, you can come out with me.
You can come out, yeah.
And so I have pictures of her in her leathers and me in my leathers going out for a Sunday ride.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So I had a couple of Harleys over the years because they're nice and low, and I'm a bit of a short ass.
Yeah.
To touch feet on the ground either side was really nice on the Harley,
Yeah.
although the torque wasn't.
Everybody wants a Harley too.
Yeah, but the torque is you don't get that, like you do on a
Okay.
one of the bikes I later on had was a Suzuki Bandit 1200,
Oh, wow.
and you could do a wheelie really easily on
Yeah.
that. And I didn't like doing wheelies. I didn't
No.
know I didn't want to do wheelies.
That's funny.
But yeah, so motorbikes were my way of being anonymous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was more of a dirt bike guy.
Yeah. Well, you're tall. Well, you're really tall, and you can
Yeah.
get out there, and if you slip on something on the dirt bike, you can put one foot down, and you're not sort of halfway over.
Yeah.
Me, if I have to put a foot down, it's almost tippy toe on a Bandit or the Honda, any Japanese bike.
Yeah. I just thought I was way better than I actually was on a dirt bike. And oh yeah, you can climb up. Whoa!
Oh, I got over backwards.
Oh yeah. You can break a foot really quick out there too, right? Super fun though. Definitely had some good rides. A lot of local boys have dirt bikes, and
I see that.
Yeah, I think I'd get another one. I think I'd like maybe something like a 200 or something like that. Nothing too crazy. Just trail bike that you can just putt around on kind of thing. I don't think I'd go too crazy. The last one was the Honda 350 Enduro, and it was like the on-road, off-road, like a dirt bike that you could street legal ride.
Do both.
It was a crappy street bike and it was a crappy dirt bike, really, right? It was like
neither nor.
Yeah, exactly.
In a way. Yeah.
Exactly, right?
We had an SP370 Suzuki. I say we, my ex and I had we had 5 bikes between us at one point, and a trike. We also had a V8 trike.
And that's all in England, or?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
We had to get rid of the V8 trike. My ex, he lives in Black Creek now, actually, and it's all good. We're all friends.
Yeah.
He had a trike in England, or well, we did, and it was a V8 engine, 3.5 Rover engine.
Whoa.
It was like something out of Mad Max.
That's crazy.
It really was.
And it was like a dirt for like off-road,
it was
or?
a trike. It was a motor trike. You know how in England they have on-road trike, and we towed a trailer as well.
With one in the rear, like two front and steer. Rear. One in the front, 2 in the rear. The sync with the steer in the front. Whoa.
So the engine is between
and 2-seater.
4-seater.
4-seater.
Because Kelly, we had one seat in the front where Andy would, Andy rode that one. It was 2. I couldn't do the turn on it.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't get the turn on. So
it had handlebars.
It had handlebars, and the engine was in between you and the front wheel. It's like 4 foot between you and up to 4 feet. We had 2 trikes actually.
Whoa.
And so we used to do a lot of camping on that, and we'd take the kids with us, and
caravanning.
Glamping,
yeah, pretty much. Right? Rolling in with that. It's like, whoa.
But we towed a little trailer on which we put all the camping equipment, and it was camping. It was tents,
Yeah, serious.
Kelly was 6 weeks old when she first went on that trip.
Nice.
She was born in May, so by June we were going off to a bike rally, which was they're very common in England. You get large groups of motorcyclists getting together and listening to rock music and drinking lots of beer and setting off fireworks and having fires.
England's wild.
It is great. Great for that.
Oh yeah.
The magazines advertise different bike rallies that are on every weekend throughout the winter and the summer, and we were bikers through and through. So this was this alter ego, alter personality.
Yeah, on the side while you were still working in the force.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was was my means of income.
Yeah.
And it was it's helped me to be where I am now. Right. I mean, I'm 56, 57 now. If I'm careful, I can live on a boat. I can't afford to rent anywhere on land, but I have a pension. Yeah. And it's not a state government pension. Yeah. I'll get another one when I'm 65. So this is like just the police pension.
Yeah, that's cool.
So it's enabled me to be here, to own my own boat.
So how'd you get here then? Because you were in England for so long.
Well,
you had to make the transition over.
About 14, 15 years ago. In 2006, I finally got a yes from my ex-other half.
Oh, yeah.
And that wasn't a yes to get married. That was a yes to immigrate. Oh. Because I'd been on at him every few years. I'd be like, are you sure you don't want to immigrate? Yeah. I really want to go back to Canada. I'd always wanted to live here. My brother was here.
But you two were living together in England.
But my ex and I were in England. We raised the kids in England. It was kind of important to me to have a different upbringing than I'd had for my kids. I wanted a bit of, I wanted them to be able to go to one school. Yeah. I went to 13.
13 schools.
Different schools.
Because you boated all over the place.
Yeah, and so home educated
Homeschooled,
as well.
But when you dropped in, they just throw you into school and you're here. Yeah.
Yeah, in Grenada and St. Lucia and Malta.
Oh, wild.
So different places.
Yeah.
And so I kind of wanted my kids to be in the same place and to be able to have friends that, like probably you do, like you and Reese know each other for years. You're
Sure.
similar ages, you know,
Sure.
for years and years.
Yeah.
You've been brought up here.
Yeah.
Well, when you're brought up on a boat, you have a very transient lifestyle, and you move
Yeah.
from one place to another,
Yeah.
and you associate with not only different kids but different age groups. You know,
You have to, yeah.
You have to, a bit
Yeah.
like you do here as well. And
Yeah, because there's less people, less
Yeah.
of you.
and
Yeah.
kids mature differently. When you live a more remote life, you mature differently, and you get used to hanging out with different people. You
Mhm.
become more capable in the art of conversation with different
Mhm.
age groups.
Mhm.
You know? So yeah, it was important for me, but it's transient. You're
Mhm.
always saying goodbye to people. You're always saying, "Hi, nice to meet you,"
Mhm.
and within 3 weeks, people are
They're
moving
gone,
on.
yeah.
You know, and you might never see them again.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, my kids lived in the same house
Yeah.
from the time they were born.
And then they graduated.
And no, they didn't actually. Well,
Yeah.
Max did, and then Annie said yes. So Keller was born in '98, so she was in 2006. She'd have been 8, and that's when he said yes. But then we had to find out how to come to Canada, how
Yeah.
to make it happen,
Yeah.
and that took a year to submit an application.
Because it's not only
And
you,
then-
it's the family,
yeah.
and
And then it
coming
took
over as a
4.5
family.
years. We didn't come here. We finally got.
Not cheap.
No, it was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And also a lot of work. I submitted 281 pages of
Yeah.
supporting
Whoa.
documents to make sure that we could get in
By mail.
by mail. No staples.
Yeah.
There was no metal work allowed in the application.
Whoa.
So it was all divided and subdivided with cardboard. 281. It was quite a wad.
Whoa.
It was a lot. I'm
That's
special,
wild.
They
Yeah.
said yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So we applied, and we spent the 4.5 years getting here. So Keller went into grade 8,
Yeah.
and
Went into grade 8 there.
here.
Okay. So flew over.
So she and my ex flew over.
Yeah.
I had to stay in England another 14 months
Oh.
to finish my job, to get 30 years.
So daughter and dad went
They came
over,
over
and then
here.
you stayed.
And then I stayed. My son came
With-
over,
Yeah.
and
Mom had to stay back.
and Mum had to stay in England.
Oh.
It was interesting because in London there's so much to see, and you guys went to quite a few places
Yeah.
when you were there.
Yeah.
Well, I'd never been really a tourist there,
Yeah.
so I went on a lot of guided walks.
Yeah. Go on.
Went on a lot of guided walks all over London. I would work, or before work, I'd go on guided walks.
Yeah.
And then in the evening,
Because you had spare time.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I got spare time. I'm in love.
Yeah.
What am I going to do?
went to the theater quite a bit
Yeah. But why did you have to stay back? For work or?
to get the 30 years in. Otherwise, because you have to be 50 before you can receive. I had to be 50 before I could receive a pension, but I had to have over 25 years service.
Oh.
And I had a career break in the middle.
Yeah.
So although I did 31
Get
years,
a little bit of work.
4.5
squeeze
years in
there.
the middle was a career break,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then I had to turn 50,
Yeah.
and then I could get the pension.
You had to wait. Like,
So I had to
okay.
wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was hard.
Yeah, I
It
bet.
was hard.
Yeah.
And
But you're like, I'll wait it out.
Yep.
Yeah.
I waited out. I stayed in a friend's house. I stayed with Andy's parents for a while as well, rented a
Nice.
room in their place, and commuted up to London. And that was awful. The 2
You had
years.
to communicate via phone call to the
Yeah.
to Canada
to here,
sometimes.
Skype.
Nice.
I did a lot of Skyping then. Now we don't need to do that anymore. We can
Yeah.
just do FaceTime
Exactly.
or generally what I do. But
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Skype was great for a while there. That was
yeah,
awesome. I did a lot of Skype.
because you could actually see who you were talking
Yeah.
to. You're not just talking over the
Yeah.
phone.
Exactly.
So I finished the job and then came over here
Done.
and
Left everybody.
done.
Said bye to
I could be a hippie now.
30 years of friends in that organization though over there, right?
Well,
Like,
I wasn't. I had a couple of friends within, but I didn't. I wasn't. I was a biker really, and
Mhm.
most of my friends were bikers, and I didn't really fit in to the social side of the
Mhm.
police.
Mhm.
It was always, I think, part of having the lifestyle that we had
Mhm.
meant that we were always a little bit on the outside.
Mhm.
And so I didn't really fit. My face
Mhm.
didn't fit. You know, when I first joined, I spent 10 years in the Caribbean, and there was no way I was racist, and yet I joined something that was institutionally racist to start with.
Yeah, the force was.
Yeah.
Movement,
Yeah. It was also very sexist.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, how many women were in there? Like
10,
10,
2 out of 25,
2 to 25.
not
yeah.
even 10%, you know, but thereabouts.
And were they all fairly nice to each other?
No,
Generally,
I got
the women all hated
I got
each other.
picked on. No, I got picked on because all different things, you know, along the way. I was different.
Yeah.
I wouldn't stand for the racism. I didn't like it when comments were made, and I would speak up. I didn't like it when things happened
It'd be hard in your work.
Yeah. And it was such a big eye opener moving onto land.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this was new to me, living on land, even though at the end of 30 years I was no longer new to it, but I was to start with completely. So yeah, I mean, it was a means to an end.
Yeah. Happy that's done.
And I'm really happy that's done.
Happy you did it. Now it's helping you out now, right?
Yeah, exactly. If I didn't do that, then I wouldn't be here where I am now, not having to work and enjoying a lifestyle back on a boat again.
Did you come straight to Quadra, or how did you find Quadra Island? A storm.
Well, what happened was I had some friends visiting from England, and I had another boat before this one, a smaller one, and I left it here. And a storm was coming, like 50 knots of wind, and it was at anchor out in the bay there in Harriet Bay. And my brother, who teaches sailing anyway, you know, he's got a lot of experience sailing. He's my mentor.
Your brother is?
Yeah, even now, you know,
pro sailor.
Because he is a pro sailor.
Yeah,
he's done a lot of racing.
That's cool.
He's taught it for 20 years. He works out of Comox, takes people out sailing for a week, gives them their whatever certificate they've earned during that time. And does that week on, week off, every year.
Yeah.
So anyway, he said, come to Quadra, go to Quadra, and take it into the dock, and stay on your boat. So I did, and I was only going to be here for like 1 or 2 nights, and I stayed 5. And then every time that Andy was at work, he used to work at the airport, and every time he was at work, I would be there, looking after Calder and keeping the home burning. Yeah, in Black Creek.
In Black Creek, okay, yeah.
And every time he came home, I wanted to come back to the boat. And eventually they, you know, Calder, that's right, Calder came over, and when she came over and got a job here, she then wanted to live separately. She got a room with Rob and Chelsea, and I guess you know Rob and Chelsea, And so once she was living independently, even though at a young age, I had very little influence over her life, and realized that because she was there and Max had already left home, I could leave home too. So that storm got me to Quadra, and then every month I was here 3 weeks out of 4 for 2 or 3 days, and then moved over here with Calder, and then left home because she'd left home. So I could move on to the boat, you know, full time. Rented for a while here to sort out all the belongings, and then when the separation agreement was finalized, I had enough money that I could buy a boat outright.
Exactly.
And so she's a good boat. She's a really good boat.
And you're just solo on the boat now with your cats.
Yeah. Well, they've been with me 5 years now. Actually.
Okay.
And they were that, you know, this kind of big size.
So they were kittens. Yeah.
And they both had tails.
So 2 cats?
I have 2 black cats, and then 2. I only went to get 1, but you know.
And they're good boat cats?
And well, they've been in the water quite a bit. They know they know what the boat wants.
They didn't like that.
Well, to start with, I wondered what would happen, how they would climb out if they fell in.
Yeah.
And someone else had told me, well, get a piece of fishing net from Red Net, hang it over the side, and from the dinghy, get the kitten's tail wet, and then attach them to the fishing net, and let them climb up on their own. And for 3 days, I did that 3 times each day. They didn't like getting wet.
No.
So they would climb up that fishing net. Right?
Yeah.
And even the tip of the tail was like, oh, that's cold and wet.
Yeah.
So they learned how to climb out. They're really good.
Doesn't he leave you always have a little piece of fishing net hanging there.
Yeah, you'll see it off the back of my boat. You'll know which boat is mine on the government dock because it's the one with the fishing net.
The fishing net, that's funny.
Yeah, and the zinc hanging over the side.
Yeah.
The zinc obviously for electrolysis.
Exactly. Yeah.
From other boats, from leaking electricity.
I hear
from
it's
the
bad
docks.
at the docks too. When you
Yeah.
have a whole bunch of boats there.
It could be. It
Yeah.
can be.
You just got one hanging. You got none.
I got on them on my boat.
On the boat as well, but the hangers for bonus.
But the hanger is just I attach it to the prop shaft down
Yeah.
in the down below in the engine room,
Yeah.
and have cable crocodile clips and
Yeah.
coming out over the side,
Nice.
and also attach it to my rudder shaft. So so far so good anyway.
Yeah, and it was rough there last
Oh
night.
my gosh. Well, we were going to do
We
this.
were gonna do this last night. We're like, let's just.
Like, no, I think I'm
wait for
just
the
going to
storm
hunker
blow
down.
over, yeah.
It was pretty
Good
windy.
idea, yeah.
You know, because for me on a boat, you know, when the wind comes, it's not just, you know, everything else that's moving. The boat will blow sideways in the
Mhm.
wind, you know, quite a long way.
Mhm.
And so everything down below suddenly is changing angles because the boat's leaning. So everything's moving down
Are you on the
below.
dock? Do you have rafters on you, or
I'm on the dock.
you're on the
I'm
dock?
on the government dock in Harriet Bay,
Yeah.
and I have double lines in
Yeah.
winter.
Is there anybody attached to you, or
No.
no? You're all good.
Yeah, no, the first year I was the boat on the outside
Yeah.
and had to climb across another boat.
Yeah. Which is
Which
a pain.
it was a pain actually.
Yeah.
And the next year I said, you know, is there any chance I could be on the inside?
Yeah.
And so they put me on the inside.
Yeah,
And then
nice.
now generally I don't have anybody on the outside
Nice.
because there are only 2 Liverpools there. So
Yeah.
at least if we don't have, you know, if I don't have to have somebody alongside me, then if somebody comes in and needs shelter, then they've got a good boat to come
Mhm.
alongside. They can come alongside me. But most of the time, I'm not going to have people traipsing over the deck.
Mhm. There's sure not much room there, hey? Like,
And that's pretty tight.
yeah, tight.
Yeah. But, and lots of logs.
Yeah.
Lots of logs floating around at the moment. And they come and bash your boat up.
Yeah.
You know, you're kind of like, oh God, I'm going to put my jacket on and my slippers and go out and get the pokey thing and poke this
Yeah.
log away from wherever it's stuck.
Yeah, I definitely remember when I was living on my boat there for a while,
Oh, did you?
the beach logs knocking the boat constantly, and then you get like, I remember where there was like the winter storm surges coming in, where there's like all the logs in the whole bay full of logs. You know, there's like 20 logs all bashing you at once, right? It's like, holy, this is just.
You were really on a boat there? I didn't know. What?
Yeah, so I had, you know, that beach cabin that's across from where you are, Hilda Van Orden's beach cabin, like
That's where Phyllis
the
lives.
closest one. Yeah, so I used to live I rented that beach
You rented
cabin.
Phyllis's cabin?
Yeah, the one on the water there.
I spent a lot of time there with Phyllis.
Yeah, it's a great cabin, and oh yeah, and I was there on a storm one day where the barrels in front of that cabin got washed out, and I thought the cabin was going to fall into the water, and then they actually lifted it and raised it back.
They've done
several.
it again.
Yeah, right?
They've had to do it again.
Yeah.
Did they put concrete bases in or something when you were there? Or
Yeah, they did it. It was probably 6 years ago, maybe the last time I know they did, when I was just moving out of there. They were.
Did Sarah move in after you then? Sarah Rose? Sarah, because she rented there for a while,
Okay.
and then Phyllis rented from her,
Yeah.
and she's been there ever since.
Yeah, well, it's been moved a couple times,
Yeah.
right? You know, that's one of those things, right? But when I was living there was a boat in front of the house there in the harbor, and it had been there we went on a canoe ride, and we saw this hull, 55-foot steel hull, Brent Swain bilge keel thing.
Yeah.
It was sitting out in the harbor there, and friend of mine and I were like, "Oh, look at this! That's pretty cool," or whatever. Did a little bit of investigating or whatever. Finally, chatted with the guy, found out who owned it or whatever. Chatted with him, like, "Oh, I'll give you $1,000 for it." And he's like, "No way, 10." And I was like, I was like, "Yeah, you're out of your mind," kind of thing. I was like, "Give me a call back if you want to do a deal," kind of thing. So, a couple days later, I got a call. He's like, $2,000, it's yours. I was
Really?
like, all right, I'll see what I can. So I got a friend of mine. We pitched in $1,000 each, bought it, and then we went out. And we didn't even know what we had bought really at the time, right? We're just like, right?
Nice boat.
Young and dumb, though, in a sense. But it was just...
If it's a Swain boat.
Yeah, but
then...
basically what it was a hull, a 3/4 built hull with like a tarp kind of over top of the whole thing with a rotten A-frame. Third eye, take it easy, buddy. We're talking over here. Jeez.
He's not talking to a kid.
Yeah,
it's okay. It's a dog.
Take it easy, big boy. Go lay down.
He's got a jealous dog.
Yeah, holy.
So, you just want to be part of it.
Yeah.
I know, because I haven't said hello.
I
dare not now.
He wants to go in the. He wants to go in the truck.
Because it's cold. Actually, it's not too bad.
He's just a lazy dummy. So
hey, did he get his walk today?
He definitely did. He definitely did. I can talk about that in a minute, actually. So
yeah, that's how I came to be on Quadra, and that was September 2013.
Nice.
And I seem to still be here. I've done a lot of traveling since. I've been up. When I first bought this boat, the first year I went up to the Central Coast with my brother on his boat. I was on my boat, and my brother was on his boat, and then we had another friend who was on his boat. So we had 2, 4, 6 of us. I took Lee. Do you know Lee from? He's on a boat anyway in Herring Bay.
Nice.
And I borrowed him from his life.
Yeah.
And took him sailing with me.
Nice.
Because it was a new boat and much bigger, and I wanted to learn how to use things with somebody else around, basically. Yeah. And I'm so glad I did, because I had a lot of engine problems that first year. Yeah. Sailing was fine. I found it's a bit like riding a bicycle or driving a car. If you drive a Mini, you can drive a I don't know, Rolls Royce if you want, but you still know how to drive,
know how to drive, exactly.
And it was the same with the boat.
Yeah.
The engine was starved of fuel, and it took a while to figure out why it was starved of fuel. All as a result of, mainly as a result of a dog.
Oh.
Dog hair.
Dog hair.
Dog hair on paper towel in the filter.
In the filter, yeah.
And then,
filter,
and also the impeller. The impeller's got like, it's like a little cog, isn't it? It's got lots of little rubber protrusions from it that help it to spin the water around.
Exactly.
And there was only one little
cog.
What do you call those things that stick up anyway?
Maybe like a paddle or whatever.
Yeah, the little pad. They were supposed to have 12, and they only had one left. Yeah. So I was overheating as well. That was another early problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, we went up as far as Clem 2.
Clem 2. Wow.
I didn't even know where that was before I looked.
Near Alaska.
Before I went there.
Somewhere up there.
Well, halfway.
Halfway?
Yeah, sort of halfway to Prince Rupert anyway.
Okay.
And it was wonderful. The scenery, the remoteness.
Yeah.
The fact that you can be motoring along and you know where the rocks are because you've got navionics, right? Mm-hmm. But every now and again, you'll see the surface of the sea explode into this big, massive, exploding wave as it bounces off a rock that you can't see. And that there are a lot of those. When you zoom in on your navionics, I don't know if you have it, but if you zoom in, there's all these little red and black dots, red and black, they're rocks.
Yeah, everywhere. Yeah. Crazy, right?
So yeah, it was neat to go up there. And other years I've gone down to South Pender, North Pender, Vancouver, Victoria, Canberra Bay.
I'd like the boat Quadra to Vancouver. I've never done that mission. It'd be a good one. I'd kind of like to do it on jet ski. Really, it'd be a fun.
Oh yeah, well you can
take 3 days and just kind of do it slow and camp along the way or whatever.
Can you take stuff on a jet ski?
You got a bit of gear and you can throw a backpack on there and you can strap another tote or whatever on the back if you really need to.
You could too, because I know Kate does a lot of. Whenever you come out to any festival anywhere like Carrington or wherever, it's involving a jet ski.
You know what though? The sailboat and the jet ski combo. Toss the dinghy. Throw a jet ski on there.
Oh yeah, I know. Then you get the fast speed. To zoom around.
That was our big first joint purchase. We bought a sailboat. So when we moved back to Quadra, we had to live somewhere, so we bought the sailboat to live on for a while. It was the 32-foot Grampian.
Oh yeah,
and it was pretty sweet, and I liked it because I had a 6'4" cabin, and I'm 6'3", so I was like, I can stand.
Kate's tall as well.
Exactly,
and you're still together. I mean, a boat is a real test of relationship.
Oh, was.
It really is.
It was, for sure. It's scary living the whole boat life, from just thinking it's going to sink to your ropes are going to snap to you're going to bash into another yacht to
you're going to drag. Somebody's going to come and hit you.
Yeah. I'd have that dream when you're out on anchor of your rope going down to your chain to the shackles, and there would be a large oversized shackle going to a tiny little shackle.
Yeah.
And that would be my dream, would be it just pulling on this tiny little shackle, and you wake up, oh, I gotta get to the boat.
I was in Nanaimo once, and this was human error. This was my inexperience, if you like, and I learn all the time when I'm out there, and I make mistakes too. I was in Nanaimo in a southeasterly, so the wind's blowing. I was off Newcastle Island, and the wind was blowing me towards the shore, if you like. And I anchored, and I thought, oh, I'm a little bit close to that boat. I won't let out as much line as I normally do. And I was lying there, and the boat's really rocking like mad. I mean, it was really exposed. And then I saw a mast out of the window going that way. So that meant I was going that way.
Yeah.
And I was dragging. Oh my God. And I got out on deck, and it was as much as, I got dressed and put the PFD on and everything and went up onto the foredeck, but the bow was actually bouncing down to the water and back up again.
Whoa.
And it was as much as I could do to loosen off the bow line to let more out as I dragged past this boat. So I let more out and went down, hunkered down again. I couldn't get to sleep. And I'm keeping an eye on that porthole because it's already happened once. I've seen the mast go by. That again. So then I see another mast go by, and I think, oh no, I'm dragging again. So I let out more line. Yeah. And eventually she held. Yeah. Really, in hindsight.
More line.
More line. If you're dragging, let out more line.
Yeah.
It's the best, because you're then going from a steep angle to less of an angle.
Yeah.
And so it's got more ability, more traction, the hull.
The big hull we bought there, we pumped because it was full of water when we bought it. It was like full of water and garbage.
And it's steel.
In the hull. Yeah, and it was just floating there. So we pumped it all out, and then we pulled up some of the slack in the lines and tried to have a little look-see and check. And then it dragged, and there was some wind came up or whatever, and because we had pulled it up a little bit, I guess it dragged. And somebody gave me a phone. Oh, that boat's moved a little bit, and then we managed to deal with that. But oh man, boat dragging is just nightmare. Lots of chain. I'd have lots of chain.
Right? I'm lucky on this boat; it's all chain.
All chain.
Well, not all chain. Now I've got 240 feet of chain.
Oh yeah.
And if you're anchored in 50 foot, that's how much you should have out. If you're gonna stay there, and a bit more, the more the better. But if you haven't got the swinging room, then obviously you're more restricted. But the more you let out, the more chance you have of holding. So I've learned quite a bit over the last few years.
I bet.
Along the way.
And you planning on sticking it out, boat life, or what?
As long as I'm able to. Well, it's the life I feel. I don't know, that I belong.
Sure.
I belong there. I didn't belong in my job. I didn't belong in England.
Yeah.
I feel like I belong in Canada, from my heart.
And you're in a really nice place to be sailing.
And it's a beautiful area. People often ask me, so you going to the South Pacific, Robin? Are you going to Mexico, maybe?
Yeah, it's like...
And I'm like, nah. I've only just come here.
Yeah, right? Yeah, there's
6 years.
A lot to explore. Yeah, 6
and
years
there is.
Here.
Yeah. And I go on a lot of sort of missions and adventures. You were talking about missions earlier. One of the missions, for example, was Hippie Christmas. Have you heard of Hippie Christmas?
I'm not sure.
Hippie Christmas, every year, university students, foreign students, get rid of all their belongings because they're going back to wherever they come from, and they can't take more than they can fit into a suitcase.
Okay.
And they throw it all away in the dumpster.
Okay.
And at UVic, there are 12 dumpster areas, each one with 10 or 12 dumpsters in it. And people throw everything from money to books to clothes to duvets to pillowcases to everything that will furnish. So it's called Hippie Christmas, but it's in April.
Nice.
So the mission was to go down there in April. It's cold.
Yeah.
But go down there. We went down with 6 boats and 5 were single-handed.
Oh.
And we went on Quadra Bay.
Yeah.
And we'd walk up and go dumpster diving. But it's quality dumpster diving. You and driving licenses. I could have a number of identities if I wanted to.
That's hilarious.
Car keys. I thought, God, I bet they didn't want to get rid of these.
No.
You know? But yeah, so that's a mission. One year there was an English guy who was hospitalized a lot as a kid, and he wanted to raise money for the hospitals that he'd been supported by and enabled to live a productive life as a result of. And so he decided he was going to run across Canada. And he would run a marathon a day. And he started on the East Coast in March, and I started following him on Facebook and just kind of supporting, every day he'd run a marathon. Every single day, and pushing his belongings. He was unsupported, so he pushed like a pushchair, a kid's pushchair, a 3-wheeler, trike pushchair with all his belongings in.
Whoa!
And so he deserved support. I'll tell you what. And every time he raised money in a province, half of it would go to a local hospital.
He's
for
still
kids.
Doing this, or
he did the States recently.
Oh wow!
And he became a kind of superhero to a lot of kids.
What's his name? Do you know, or who knows?
I do know his name, but it's
okay.
I've just at least I remember your name.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. Anyway, so he was going to be arriving in January in Vancouver.
Oh yeah, cool.
And so he was going to go into the water in English. Well, just where where all there's stacked a whole bunch of weird statues. He was going to go into the water of the beach there anyway. It's a big famous beach anyway. And so I decided I wanted to go down and be there when he arrived, and be one of the people that was there.
Nice.
So in January, a few years ago, when that was a mission.
That's cool.
And adventures are when you don't really know what's going to happen. A mission is where you do know.
You know it's
You know where you're going and what you're going for. Whereas an adventure is like, okay, I'm going to go from here to there, and let's see what happens on the way.
Exactly. I like those.
Yeah.
I like those. That's how I usually plan a lot of my trips.
Yeah.
Or
and
not
you never
plan.
know. I mean, a couple of years ago, I met Hippie at Carrington, and he was a long-haired hippie guy with a long beard.
Yeah.
And he came sailing with me for 2.5 months.
Oh,
so
cool.
I picked him up on the beach.
Yeah.
And took him sailing for 2.5 months.
Nice.
Taught him how to sail.
Nice. It's a great skill to know.
Yeah, and he'd never been sailing before. And he's now bought his own boat.
Oh, cool.
And,
you got him hooked.
And he's off doing his own life. But, for us, it was just like a 2.5 month adventure, really, because we didn't know where we were going to go. We went to South Pender in the end to see. The mission there was, he had a friend there that he hadn't seen for 25 years. I said, okay, I'm going to take you there then. We went down there. And
I've never been to South Pender.
Yeah. Actually, we went to North Pender.
Any of the Penders.
Yeah. A couple of people who used to be here now live down there. So, I have people on every island that I know.
So you're enjoying Quadra so far?
I love
what do you think? It's pretty cool, or what? We're all right here?
Yeah, absolutely. What a diverse group of people,
Right?
and it doesn't matter. I feel like I can fit it in many different circles.
It's a bit bubbly here. It's like a little bit of a small bubble with some little bubbles.
Little cliques. There's some cliques as well, but I remember when I would go drumming with Steve. When Steve was alive, I joined the drumming group there. I'm not a drummer, but it starts somewhere.
Yeah,
I've got a drum and Phyllis and she's really good.
Yeah.
And the community lunch.
Yeah. I love the community
until
lunch.
I joined Keto. Until I started this mission. This mission is to lose 80 pounds.
Yeah.
And I'm 30 pounds down.
Yeah.
And this mission is a year long, if you like, in a sense, within all my other missions, to lose this weight.
Yeah.
And so being keto, I'm not eating the soups or drinking the soups that they have at the community centres. So I haven't been to the lunches.
Yeah.
So.
What have you been doing then?
What do I do?
Just hanging out?
If you
don't go to the lunch.
Well, I have a mother who's in assisted living.
Okay.
In Courtney.
Yeah.
And so I spend quite a bit I go down back and forth seeing her. I go once a week down to see her. I have a daughter who has a baby.
Yeah.
I have a son who has a son.
Nice.
So my grandchildren are aged 5 months and 4.
Yeah. Cool. Your
And,
grandma.
So I'm a granny.
That's exciting.
I'm a
eh?
granny. He calls me granny too.
Oh.
it's so weird. Most people are grandma, but I'm a granny. And
Nice.
he's gone along my little 4-year-old grandson. He calls me granny. So
Oh,
it's quite
that's
nice.
cool.
Nice.
Yeah,
you
know.
wanna talk
Yeah,
too.
I know.
But yeah, so that's basically, and again, I go for a walk every day, and I've been.
Where do you like to walk on Quadra? Where do you go?
Well, I walk a lot at the Spit.
Yeah.
And I walk on the roads as well. So I'll pick a quiet road, like I picked Pitcott Road, whatever the other bit of the road is, and walked all the way along until I hit a mile, and then I turn around and come back, and that's 2 miles.
There you go.
The Spit is like 2.3 miles or something, nautical miles.
Yeah.
Because I just do it on navionics.
Nice.
And I walk, and I.
Oh yeah, and you brought some balls. Let's see these balls you brought. What are those?
I bought these. These are called multi-ball contact juggling.
Okay.
Right. So you start. I mean, you start with 2, and you get used to going in different directions. And okay, just for the camera, it's this way, and then it's that way, and then you learn how to do it with the other hand as well, so that you're just as capable with one hand. The aim of this is to get really good. Now, I don't know how people get, you have to look online for this, and it's multi-ball contact juggling. And you'll see them, they'll put one ball on top of here as this is going around, and then they'll mix them all around. I'm still learning how to do it.
Yeah, that's good though.
And so, so they add balls, and then they put 2 hands together with the 4 balls on them.
Great for hand dexterity, keeping your hands strong
and it's it's kind of strengthening, because I feel it in the arm up here after an hour. I'm like swapping side to side, and so I just do it because I could be carrying weights as I walk, right? But this to me is just something that I wanted to. It's just my thing.
Nice.
And these are made of acrylic, so I don't know whether you'd make them here because they would break.
Oh no! Well, I was just gonna say I'll grab one. I got a couple different ones here. I'll bring them over.
Oh, you do? Cool. In the meantime, what can I tell you that I don't want to tell him? Well, I guess not much. Well, those are much bigger.
These ones are a little bigger, but these are just marbles, right?
These are marbles.
But you can see if
Can you do that?
See if I can do that.
It takes a lot of practice, eh? Lift your hand up.
Oh yeah. Oh, there we go.
Just so the camera can see.
Oh, that's a big string.
So eventually, I mean, these are quite big, right?
Yeah.
But eventually, you'd get good enough to do that, and then you go the other way, and they're not too big for me, are they?
Yeah. No, you got it.
People are saying to me, oh, "These are really lovely."
Yeah.
Wow. And isn't it funny how when you look through these, everything's upside down?
Yeah.
I had kids on the Spit today saying, "Whoa, what are those? I want one, And we were looking at the ferry, and I said, "You notice anything about the ferry over there?" I'm like, "Well, it's moving." I said, "Which way up is it?" And they go, "Whoa, it's upside down."
Exactly.
It's true. So yeah, I can juggle as well. I don't juggle anything very well, but it's just something that you learn how to do, and become skydiving. That's what it did. When I was skydiving, you would have many.
You went skydiving or what?
Yeah.
Oh.
In England, there was another hobby. Yeah.
Oh, there was a hobby even.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
It was
cool.
for about a year.
A year.
And when you're waiting on the ground because the winds are too high, either you kick a hacky sack around or you juggle.
Yeah.
And
keep your mind off.
Well, it's just something to do because you're waiting for the wind to come down.
Did a lot of hacky sack as a kid. Sure,
yeah. You kick with the side of your foot, elbow.
Oh yeah.
So I learned how to juggle waiting on the ground for the wind to come down.
They used to have a Quadra Jugglers club.
Did they?
For years they had a Quadra Jugglers club. I don't know, whoever was organizing it must have moved, but I know it was a thing for a while.
Yeah.
They had that
in England
going on.
too. I used to go to a juggling club in England just because I could see what other people were doing.
Yeah.
That's why we all went, really.
Yeah,
Is other people, some people were
influence.
Really good. Yeah. And learning tricks from other people. And it was something to do on a Thursday night. And so often I'm going to my juggling club.
Yeah.
It was a book club. But
Yeah, it's funny. There's people say though, what do you do on, there's quite a bit going on Quadra, but then there's not a lot in a sense too, right? Like there's definitely as for outdoor activity, you can go walking and hiking and biking, and there's that type of thing, which I like
the gym.
Yeah,
I go to the gym now. Quite
nice. The back road fit one. Cool. Yeah, it seems to be a pretty popular spot.
Yeah, it's just I probably wouldn't be doing it if I wasn't on this mission. Yeah. I know I will. I like swimming. I'm a swimmer.
Swimming's nice. Yeah.
But I realized I guess I finally realized that I should love what is, and here I can walk, and here I can go to the gym, rather than not do something because I can't go over there every week for swimming. Enjoy what is here, and so hence I got into the walking. And I'm doing walking all over the place. Top Cliff Road was one, this Pitcott Road, Hope Springs Road. I can tell you how long each one of these are. Thompson Road. Learning all sorts of.
I used to do the Hope Spring up over the Hope Spring Trail to the North Gallen, over the ridge to North Gallen Harbor Road there, because my dad lives out the end of North Gallen Harbor Road.
I met your dad.
Yeah, so if I was at my dad's house and I wanted to go to the Harriet Bay Inn and walk through, I did it a few times. Or if I was at the Harriet Bay Inn and I had to get home, book it through, or hitchhike to the Harriet Bay to the Hope Spring and then walk up and book that one.
Well, in the middle of the night with the tour.
Well, no, I did it a couple of times. I remember doing it with my other dog I had. I had like this white dog, and I remember running it with the white dog in front of me, just like following the white dog, trying to get home before it was dark, right? And the last bit of the trails is like dark. And,
your dad is responsible for the fire hose on my dinghy.
Oh.
Because I went there because somebody else was looking for something. Your dad collects things.
Sure.
I'm being polite. No, he does. He's a hoarder, and he collects things, and he's got lots of really.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But I went with somebody else who was looking for something, and I happened to ask him, have you got any old fire hose here that you don't need? And he said, "Oh, we're rubbish." And so and I use it as the bumper around the outside of my dinghy. So
nice.
If it hits a boat, it's just soft.
Yeah, that's perfect.
And it's great. Yeah.
I had to do that for a job once. Do that along a 500-foot dock or whatever it was. Put all that fire hose on the edge for a week.
And you have to drill holes in the wood and then put rope around the fire hose.
Oh, we just were pounding nails and it's probably all fallen out by now. Terrible job we did.
This is okay, but I've got a little. This is the little sailing dinghy that I have. Another little.
Oh, you can sail the dinghy.
I have
sailing dinghy. That's nice.
And it's a little sabo. So it's really small.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little tiny kid's dinghy, but somehow, it's what fits on the bow of my boat, so I can use it.
That's cool,
it's going to get, it's about to get a makeover.
Yeah.
I'm going to paint it yellow to match my boat. So, like a bright.
You have a yellow boat?
I have a white and yellow boat.
Oh.
Yeah. Cool. My boat is.
It's better than a white and blue boat because most of the boats are all blue, right?
So this is my boat.
Okay. Nice.
Just for this. You probably can't see that.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, I don't know because it's too dark or whatever, isn't it?
Yeah.
But so she's a 36-foot cutter.
That's good. Cutter.
A cutter. It's a cutter because
three sails.
Well, she's a cutter because she's got a forestay and an inner forestay, and both of them have sails on. And she has only one mast, and that makes her a cutter.
Okay,
And 3 sails and this awesome spinnaker. If you ever see a spinnaker that's rainbow colored with an orca jumping through it, then that is my boat.
Cool, spinnaker. The rainbow with an orca?
Yeah, a rainbow. So it's a rainbow colors going up, and then it's all black and white orca. Now, I don't take any credit for
Somebody
making
made it.
The people who I bought the boat from designed and had that sail built.
Oh, cool.
And it's just a beautiful sail to have in these areas. And when we did the May Day race, they didn't do it this year, but last year.
You did it?
I did it, and and had the spinnaker up.
Oh, nice.
Because it's the big one that goes out the front. And I'm not particularly proficient at it, but I can fly it, and I can fly it on my own, and that was what I wanted to be able to do.
Cool.
So
how'd you do in the race?
So, okay. I'm not a racer.
Yeah.
But there were 3 big boats and lots of very fast smaller boats.
Okay.
That weren't liverboards. They're just the local guys racing their T-birds.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and they're very competitive.
Yeah.
And there were three larger liverboard boats.
Yeah.
And of the 3 larger liverboard boats, I overtook the middle one and came in first.
Oh, hey!
But it was more for the fun of it.
Yeah, of course. But it's such a rush.
Yeah,
sailboat racing is just like a rush.
And they didn't, you see, none of us didn't know about getting the spinnakers up. Nobody, we hadn't told each other of the 3 liverboards that we were going to be getting spinnakers up. And so I put mine up. And then the boat behind me tried putting theirs up and they got it twisted.
No.
So meanwhile, I'm sailing away. And then the boat behind that put 2 spinnakers up.
Oh, yeah.
But he was really out there to throw as many water balloons as he could.
Oh, yeah.
We all had water balloons.
Nice.
And the poor little Thunderbirds, you know, they weren't really keen on getting wet, or they weren't prepared. I mean, I did try to get them involved, so we had lots of absolutely water balloon fights at sea are fun, you know.
I saw the boats that were coming up from Seattle to Alaska. The all human powered ones or whatever. Oh, there you go.
Well, this is the Barefoot Raid, which is an offshoot
of the all human powered.
Yeah. See, this says the Barefoot Raid. Okay, it says it backwards on the camera, but the Barefoot Raid is.
That was cool seeing them all on there pedaling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the R2AK, absolutely amazing. 780 miles.
Wow.
You know, of sailing all the time. It's non-stop. You know, I mean, you got to sleep and then sail whilst going along. Yeah. You know, and it's unless you get really bad weather. I hear you.
I know.
And the Barefoot Raid is a bunch of dinghies that are either rowing or sailing a route that's around the island somewhere. Last year now, it set off from Rebecca Spit.
Oh, cool.
I don't know if you saw that. It was, and we had, I don't know how many we had this year, but this was the first year, 2018. Yeah. And I'm just along as a support vessel. You know, I just go along if somebody needs towing or somebody needs accommodating. I can sleep.
That's cool.
This year I slept. You know, Pat and Doug. Anyway, she's a cook, a really good cook. Yeah. And so she came and stayed on my boat. Yeah. And so I would make sure that she got to the mothership every day to cook the meals. Yeah. Because what it is 15 indies racing 2 races a day, sleeping on a beach somewhere. And the mothership provides all the meals. Oh, yeah. You pay, obviously, you're paying for somebody to provide the meals, and the mothership accommodates everybody for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Yeah. That's cool. These dinghies are like between 12 and whatever you can trailer, 23 foot. The people are a real eclectic.
You think they're racing sailing dinghies.
Well, some of them are just cruising dinghies. Oh, okay. You know, they're not particularly
race boats.
Well, a couple of the boats have been in the race to Alaska.
Yeah.
And a couple of the people on the boats have been on other boats in the race to Alaska. Yeah. So they are very keen sailors as well. And Quill, who's a local island guy in his 30s, I don't know if you know Phil Goldman. No. Yeah, he's 30, whatever he is, 8 or whatever. Yeah. And his father is Doug Goldman, and Doug Goldman fathered him, and he was born on Marina Island. Oh, cool. Will was born on Marina Island. Yeah. Wow. On the opposite side of Marina Island to Shark Spit. But on the kitchen floor or the kitchen table or something.
There's a couple houses on Marina. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he was born in one of them. But there's only one, as far as I know.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was part of the Bedford boatworks, wooden boatworks on Gabriola, and still is. And he built the R2AK boat, Dick Smiley, and entered it in the first race to Alaska that there was. And then the Barefoot Raid is all about cruising and enjoying each other's company from bay to bay. So this year we went around Cortez, and we stopped in a bay near Vina Point for lunch, and then we stayed in Carrington overnight. And then we went around the tip, and we stayed in Redonda Bay on West Redonda. So the races are like 6 or 8 miles a day. Cool. 8 miles a race. Yeah. And then you have a few drink and whatever. Perfect. And light a fire on the beach.
Perfect.
And your meals are done. You take your own plate and wash it, in a big. So you wash your own crockery, so it's not left for the mothership to do.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to support them. Next year, well, this
I'll look
year,
into that.
yeah, this year it's going to be in the
Let's
Gulf Islands.
The barefoot
raid.
Barefoot raid.
So as in, like, the Vikings would raid, they would go and do a raid and raid from pillage and do whatever else. But this is just the beach bit, where Vikings land on a beach and make up camp on the beach, light a fire and, eat that fish or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
So
we did that here. There was back in the day.
Yeah.
Wild, right?
Yeah, my brother bought me that Quadra hiking book this Christmas. So I was reading about
the hiking book.
Yeah, it's Quadra Walks and Trails, and there's a bit of history on it. Mm-hmm. And so I found out that Quadra was called Valdez.
Valdez, exactly.
When they thought it was 3 islands as one. Oh. Originally, they thought that Reed and Morel and Quadra were all one island or something, and so they called it Valdez.
That's cool.
Apparently.
Something like that.
So that's an interesting book to have and to find out about.
I love the old Quadra histories.
Yeah, I've just joined the page on Facebook as well. The history page.
There's a history page. Oh.
Yeah. Do you know, another small coincidence was there was a picture. I ran through all the pictures, and there's a picture there of a yellow trimaran.
Oh.
And this yellow trimaran was unusual in that there was always one of the 3 hulls out of the water.
Yeah.
And it belonged to the Phillips family.
Phillips, yeah.
Now, the Phillips came through the Caribbean and came through St. Lucia when we were there. Mm. And we knew, my brothers played with the Phillip boys, or guys, or, we're all getting old now.
Yeah.
But in 76, 75, 76. And what a coincidence that we should end up on the same island.
Yeah.
Yeah,
my folks were buddies with them back in the day.
Oh, were they?
Yeah, exactly. They hung out with them.
There's another family here that we had connections with or knew earlier on, and that was the Kelleballs.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Erica Kelleball.
Yeah.
They lived either in a camper van temporarily or my mother's a writer, so I think their mother was a writer. And so Mum and her got on really well. I know, cool. They just shared writing experiences.
Yeah, it's neat. There's definitely so many years of history on Quadra, and not too many families. So, and the families that stayed too, right? That there are those generational things going on, right?
Vander Est, are they one of the original families?
Something like that.
How long do you guys go back?
Not too long, really. No, my folks moved here just like they lived on a barge in Gowan Harbor for 12 years before I was born.
They're not exactly conventional.
No, I have 2 artist parents. They're not conventional. Yeah.
On a boat, cool. As a kid?
They lived on like a 50 by 100 barge, and then I moved off when I was like, they moved off when I was like 1, because they're like, raising a kid on a barge seems a bit wild or whatever, right? So
that would have been neat.
Yeah, and then they bought where my dad's at now, and then my mom left, and then my dad's been out there. Mom lives in town, so I did back and forth, Quadra Camp, wherever.
And have you got any sisters or brothers?
I got a sister. Yeah, she's 5 years younger. She lives over in Campbell River.
Oh, does she? Yeah. I know your dad and you, but I sort of wondered if there was any more to you.
Yeah, just sister. Yeah, dad over here. He just kind of hides out. No, he doesn't really get out too much. Super hermity. I'd like to get him on the old Quadcast here, but it'd be tough.
He'd be an interesting person to have.
He's working on his book right now. So,
is he? What's he writing about?
He's got a sculpture or a set of sculptures that he's done, so he's doing some book action on that or whatever, right? So.
Beautiful sculptures. Stone.
Wood, stone, incorporating kind of thing, bronze. Quadra has some. That's one of the ideas with this podcast, was trying to get some stories out from some people, because we have some really wild people that are living on Quadra. Getting some of these tales out there in this new type of format. Podcasts are getting big. Somebody needed to do it. I said, hell, I'll just do it.
It's great because I was approached once to do a U of Q.
Yeah.
And I said no. I can't talk to lots of people. I did the one-on-one.
I did the U of Q. I can.
Did you?
Yeah. I'm the kind of guy who I did an hour talking straight without any prep, so I can talk to a room for an hour straight without prep, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, that's easy enough, kind of thing,
Yeah,
right?
no, I couldn't.
But you get a little bit of prep and something to work off of. But this is a really nice format because, you're live in a sense, but then you can throw it on afterwards, and then people can tune in afterwards and continue to watch for years to come, even, right?
And you learn, what I like about it too is that you learn a bit more about people that you've seen around.
Yeah.
You know, and if you can get hermits out to talk, then
well, they got the best stories too, right?
Yeah, yeah. Because I don't socialize a lot. I have been to the pub 3 times this year.
Okay.
I used to go to the Noodle Tuesdays.
Okay, yeah.
Down here.
Yeah.
But I just found that I preferred to hermit away on my boat and read or I don't know, write or do something aboard anyway.
Yeah, it would be nice to have some more social nights on the island. I really like that the Clove opened up. It's been like a really nice, because the landing closing down there, having no other pub in the Cove, having that Clove open up has been really nice social atmosphere there. And now you have Harriet Bay in the Harriet Bay, and you got the Clove here, and then you got that's about it, kind of thing. Unless you want to go to a resort, kind of thing, right?
Yeah. No, it's. I play Scrabble as well, and I play Scrabble with a few people on the island.
Okay.
Online.
Oh, online.
Yeah.
I played online Scrabble when I was like 17. I got into it for a couple of years there. And I like playing. Yeah, I heard Kathy Renda's one of the island champs.
Kathy who?
Kathy Renda.
I need to meet
her. I hear she's an island champ.
Oh, okay. I need to meet her.
Yeah, really nice lady.
It was something that I was introduced. Well, my mum introduced us to Scrabble when I was 12.
It's a great
my
game,
younger brothers to improve our vocabulary.
Sure.
And we could look up words in the dictionary. Nowadays, you have a word list that you can look up any word, and we don't play with challenging.
Okay.
And I don't know if it increases my vocabulary so much. I do learn lots of new words. I don't know what they mean.
Mm-hmm.
And I play with people like Linda Martin, and somebody else on the island. Linda Gray, I meet up with and play Scrabble with her in real life.
So if you want to play Scrabble with you, how do you do it? You just is there a website that you go to?
Yeah.
Or how do you do it?
Yeah, there's a Scrabble online, on Facebook, in fact.
Okay. So you can play. Does it cost
Facebook.
money or?
Nope.
It's free.
It's free.
You can add your friends on there or whatever.
Yeah, you go through you go onto the Scrabble. I don't know what that's called as well, but I just joined through Facebook.
Yeah.
And play with I think there's 3 or 4 people that I play with.
Oh, that's cool.
And it took me 4 years to beat my mum.
No, really?
She wouldn't let me win. So from 12 to 16, she beat me.
She's good, hey?
Yeah, my father was like, if he would aim to get 7-letter words regularly.
Yeah.
I always look for a 7-letter word.
Sure.
And you've got endings like ing or ed or iest, whatever. You put groups of letters together.
Yeah.
Ing is a popular one, isn't it? You get those or whatever.
Yeah.
And try to make those 7-letter words. Yeah. And then once you've made a 7-letter word, you've got to find somewhere to put it.
Yeah.
So often, you end up making words and not having anywhere to put it. But it's you get 50-point bonus if you do that. You see. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Shooting for the big ones.
I'm quite tactically aware.
Yeah.
I put it. I don't have a great vocabulary.
Yeah.
I have tactics.
Yeah.
When you get one word here and you put another word and you end up with HA and RE and AD and all the
two-letter words are the ones. They say if you're going to be good at Scrabble, you master those 2-letter words.
And you use your high-scoring letters like the Q, the Z, the X, and the J. Yeah. They're the high-scoring letters. Yeah. If you can get your X on a triple letter, going both ways, you end up with 52 points.
Yeah, then you're into it.
Yeah, QI is a word, right?
Yeah,
so you end up with a Q on a triple letter, and you can do an I that way and an I that way.
Yeah.
30, 60. 4 or something. Yeah. It's a lot of points.
Yeah.
For a 2-letter word.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a hermity thing to do, isn't it? Really.
Well, that's cool. That's a good thing to play on the boat and online, and that's good.
And I read a lot about what other people are doing sailing wise. you know, around the world, different, not podcasts, but just different sites that you go on a little journey, really. You start on one and then you end up, oh, well, that looks like an interesting place, like somebody trying to get from, I don't know, across the Pacific or something, and it's a young couple, you know, I'll pick up and read that.
There's a Quadra couple right now, Sarah and Nick Richardson. I think she's Sarah Richardson, or she's Sarah Putty. You know those guys?
I know the names, and I've probably met them.
Yeah, so they sold they didn't sell, they bought a boat over in the Mediterranean, flew over, and now I've been following their little journey on the Facebook. They're about to do the Atlantic across kind of thing. They're in one of the islands just off of.
Well, there's a Canary. We go from the popular route is to go from Gibraltar to the Canary Islands.
Yeah.
Some people go to the Cape Verde Islands, the Portuguese islands, and then across to Barbados.
Oh yeah.
And we went from. I was 7 when we crossed the Atlantic, so we were 7, 6, and 4, or something like that. Wow. And we left quite late from Gibraltar, and we ended up in some really nasty weather. And
open ocean,
and broached, completely broached. So upright is this way, and when you broach, it's called on the beam's end, you know, because your beam is the width of the boat.
Yeah.
So if you're on your beam's end, then the beam's end is down here, and that's where that expression comes from.
Whoa.
Is on your beam's end. So we completely went horizontal, and I can vaguely remember the chaos that caused down below. Because the stove,
everything's falling over.
The stove came out of its gimbals, you know, and it's a paraffin stove. It was a paraffin stove. Just everything ends up on the floor.
Whoa!
Dad got hurt.
Paraffin wax stove.
Well, it was a paraffin. Wasn't it paraffin?
I don't even know what that is.
A cook stove.
Yeah.
You know, Primus.
But it's not propane.
Primus. Yeah.
Not propane. Yeah. So, what happens when you do that and you're in the open water? How do you get?
You come straight back up again because the
next wave just kicks you back.
No, it's the weight on the bottom of the keel.
Oh.
Yeah, because if you go over, the weight on the bottom will bring you up.
So it was just a couple of seconds it went over, and then you went right back. Wow.
Yeah, and so that was a bit hairy, and Dad, ended up with a bit of an injury.
Oh, really?
But we made it, and we got to Canary Islands, and
that was a rush.
Yeah, well, the worst one was nearly being hit by a supertanker, to the extent that it broke our mast.
Whoa.
Between the Canary Islands, we were on our way across to Barbados, actually.
Really close.
Well, no, what happened was that there was no wind, and I think we'd come down with tummy bugs or eaten a bad can or something, and Dad was below as well, and believed maybe we were on the edge of the shipping lanes. I'm not quite sure of all those kind of facts. All I know was that Dad heard wind, and he looked up and he saw a wave. It wasn't the right kind of wave. It was a bow wave. And so if we're there and our bow is at this end, the super tanker, the wave he saw was back here, and it came alongside, washed us over, slammed us back in, broke the top of the mast off, and it kept on going.
Whoa.
And Dad had no time to get us to put on life jackets. We were down below sleeping. Had no time to do anything. The forestay that goes from the top of the mast down to the bowsprit, the end of the bowsprit, because she was a classic boat. She had a gaff rig, not a normal triangular sail. She was a gaff rig. And so the forestay from the topmast was down in the water. And his fear, he didn't have long to think about it, was that the propeller of this great big super tanker was going to grab that line and we would be history. Unfortunately, all he could hear was voices on the bridge as we passed. And then she was gone.
Oh, we missed them.
Foreign voices.
Geez.
But yeah, that was a pretty hairy moment then for sure. But yeah, we made it to Cape Verde. We went to the Cape Verde Islands to repair the mast.
Yeah.
And then kind of carried on.
Wow.
And Quadra life is good. Boat life is good. Winter's good.
That's awesome.
I don't mind having a bit of snow.
Yeah, well, I think that we might even have snow coming. I was hoping to go to Vancouver here next weekend, but
I met one of your friend glassblowers, Mona.
Okay, yeah.
She was on the ferry, and we just got talking because I one-on-one. I love
Quadra
talking to
Fair?
people. Yeah, we were just coming over and we were looking at whatever and got talking, and she said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to give some classwork," and she says, "Here, add me." Mona Una or something is her name.
On the Instagram or
on Facebook.
On the Facebook.
Yeah, no, I don't do Instagram. And so now I see all her posts about whatever
Her
she's doing.
glasswork. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice, super nice lady. Yeah, the glass world is definitely a huge world, but we're all pretty tight too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's a tight knit. Do you still stay in touch with Drew, having moved back over there?
I do, yeah.
And I had a friend who's a glass blower who actually worked out of Granville Island. He was a retired geologist and took up glass blowing and made vases and made all sorts of things, and taught a class actually in Vancouver. Unfortunately, he died of cancer a couple of years ago. Oh, you're a sweet dog. Are you happy now? Are you?
I have a friend who's working at the Granville Island shop now, doing glass blowing there. Yeah, I watch his Instagram videos. He blows glass for the tourists,
Exactly, and has class. Yeah. And it's just another branch of what you do. Yeah. Isn't it?
Yeah.
And Casey.
Casey? Yeah, Mr. Casey.
Yeah, he's moved to Squamish.
Did he?
He's moved to Squamish now. Yeah, at the moment.
Yeah.
And in fact, this is one of his pieces.
Oh, nice! You got a Casey piece on.
I've got it. It's a unique piece.
Yeah.
So cool. this you won't be able to see this, but this is an octopus tentacle woven around itself, and he only made one. Yeah. And he was going to sell it at Carrington. I was like, oh no, you're not.
No, you're...
And how many people want one of these?
Nice.
And nobody can have one because nobody else makes them.
He's a really nice guy. I like Casey.
He is. He's lovely. He's friends with my daughter as well, and so he pops over and sees her over there when he's around.
He pops in here when he pops by too.
Yeah, I know. He's a super nice guy. He called me something, a light bringer, the other day. Because sometimes he'll come over and we'll be bubbly, chat about this, that, and everything, and.
Yeah, we'll have to get him on the old Quadcast.
You should.
Right?
If he would.
If he would, exactly.
But he's not here, so he doesn't qualify.
Yeah.
Hi, Casey.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a few people I'd like to have in here.
Some really interesting people.
So if you do want to come on the Quadcast, just hit me up, and we can definitely make it happen. The studio here on Quadra Island.
Studio in the studio,
and
there's lots of really neat people here that need to come on this show because you've all got stories to tell that are really interesting to watch.
Exactly.
And then people get to know you a little bit better too.
Exactly.
If you want that.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't mind. I've got to know you a bit better.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
I got to know you too.
Well, thank you very much. Oh, you've got nice warm
hands. Yeah, I was like, wow.
It's a little chilly in here.
It is a little chilly. Well, Robin, it was a pleasure chatting with you. We'll wrap it up. I think Third Eye's ready to go. Yeah. And thank you so much for tuning in. Episode 2 on the Quadcast with Robin Evans. And thanks so much. We shall catch you next time. New episodes coming soon. Cheers. Bye.